Welcome to a special breaking news report that is sending shockwaves through the global tennis community and electrifying the sporting spirit of an entire nation. We are coming to you with a story that transcends the boundaries of a simple opening round match. It is a story of courage, a story of history colliding with the future, and a story of a young Filipino sensation who looked across the net at a living legend and refused to blink. At the ASB Classic in Auckland, New Zealand, the unthinkable has happened. The scorecard reads like a fiction writer's dream, but the reality is etched into the hard courts of 2026. Alexandra Eala, the pride of the Philippines, alongside her American partner, the teenage prodigy Jovic, has stunned the world. Facing a duo that combined for sheer sporting royalty, the seven-time Grand Slam singles champion Venus Williams and Ukrainian powerhouse Alina Svitolina, Eala and Jovic didn't just compete, they conquered. In a match that will be replayed for years to come, this young pairing saved an improbable 8 set points in a first-set thriller before dismantling the veterans in the second. This wasn't just a win, it was a coronation. It was a moment of Pinay pride stepped out of the shadows of potential and into the blinding light of world-class execution. Tonight, we aren't just talking about a tennis score. We are talking about a generational shift. We are analyzing how a 20-year-old from Manila and an 18-year-old from the United States stared down the history books and wrote a new chapter. Stay with us. This is a deep dive into Alex Eala's biggest test and her massive triumph against the living legend Venus Williams. To truly understand the magnitude of what transpired on the courts of Auckland this Monday, January 5th, 2026, we have to strip away the scoreline for a moment and look at the context. We need to understand the towering giants that stood on the other side of the net. When the draw for the ASB Classic doubles was released, the tennis world paused. It felt less like a sports pairing and more like a cinematic script. On one side, you had the establishment. You had Venus Williams. To call Venus a tennis player is a disservice to her legacy. At 45 years old, she is an institution. She turned professional in 1994. 11 years before Alex Eala was even born. Venus is a woman who changed the way the sport is played, bringing power and athleticism that define the modern era. She holds 49 singles titles, 7 Grand Slam singles crowns, and perhaps most pertinently for this match, 14 Grand Slam doubles titles and 3 Olympic gold medals in doubles. Every time Venus steps on a court, she brings with her the weight of 3 decades of dominance. Partnering her was Alina Svitolina, no stranger to the elite level herself. A former world number 3, a WTA Finals champion, and currently sitting at world number 13, Svitolina is one of the most consistent and gritty ball strikers of her generation. This was the team, the living legend and the Ukrainian powerhouse, that stood as the gatekeepers in the round of 16. Opposing them, the youth, the future, the 20-year-old Alexandra Eala, and the 18-year-old American standout Jovic. On paper, this was a mismatch of experience. The combined age of Eala and Jovic is less than Venus Williams' age alone. The veterans had seen every scenario, played every point, and won every trophy imaginable. The youngsters were fighting for respect, for footing, and for the right to belong on the same stage. But sports are not played on paper. They are played on courage, and they are played in the mind. Let's talk about Alex Eala. If you have been following her trajectory through 2025, you know this moment has been building. This is not a flash in the pan. The year 2025 was her breakthrough. She reached the semifinals of the Miami Open, a massive WTA 1000 event, shocking top-tier players along the way. She captured her first WTA 125 title in Guadalajara in September. She broke into the WTA Top 50, reaching a career-high ranking of number 50 in November. And just weeks ago, she carried the flag in the hopes of her nation to a gold medal at the Southeast Asian Games. Alex Eala entered 2026 not as a wide-eyed junior, but as a legitimate contender. Yet, even with those accolades, stepping onto the court against Venus Williams is a psychological mountain that few can climb without oxygen. It asks a question of your soul. Do you believe you belong here? Can you look at the woman who inspired millions, perhaps the woman who inspired you to pick up a racket, and treat her simply as an opponent to be defeated? The match began, and the atmosphere in Auckland was electric. It was a collision of two different worlds. The majestic, history-laden past of Venus Williams versus the hungry, fearless future of Alex Eala. The first set was a war of attrition. It was a test of nerve. Early on, the experience of Williams and Svitolina seemed to be the deciding factor. They understood the geometry of the doubles court in a way that usually takes decades to master. They pushed the young duo back, forcing errors, dictating play. The veterans took a commanding lead. They were serving for the set. They held set point, and then they held another, and another. In total, Eala and Jovic faced 8 set points in that opening stanza. 8 times, they stood on the precipice of losing the set. 8 times, the Pinay pride and her American partner refused to fall. This is a specific moment where a good player becomes a great player. It is easy to play well when you are ahead. It is easy to hit winners when there is no pressure. But to hit your spots, to trust your hands, and to communicate effectively with your partner when you are down set point against Venus Williams, that requires a mental fortitude that cannot be taught. They clawed their way back. They forced a tiebreak. And even in the tiebreak, the drama escalated. It went deep. 7-all, 8-7. Finally, the youngsters broke through, taking the tiebreak 9-7. That first set lasted over an hour, and it broke the spirit of the veterans. You could feel the shift in energy. The baby of the court, the girl from Manila, had looked the giant in the eye, and the giant had blinked. The second set was a revelation. Buoyed by the miracle escape of the first set, Eala and Jovic played with a freedom that was terrifying to behold. The nerves were gone. The respect for Venus's legacy remained, but the fear her game had evaporated. Eala, with her lefty forehand whipping cross-court, and Jovic, solid and aggressive from the baseline, dismantled the veteran pair. They raced to a lead. 3-0, 4-1, 5-1. The crowd, initially there to witness the royalty of Venus, found themselves roaring for the audacity of the underdog. The final score of the second set was 6-1, a breadstick, a statement. When the final ball was struck, it wasn't just a win for Eala and Jovic. It was a validation. It answered the question that every Filipino fan has been whispering. Is she ready? Is the Philippines ready to have a mainstay on the main tour, battling the biggest names? The answer is a resounding yes. Let's analyze the technical aspect of this victory. Doubles is often about net play and serving, but in this match, it was about movement and energy. At 45, Venus still has the power, but Eala and Jovic had the legs. They extended rallies. They made Svitolina and Williams hit 1 extra ball, then 2, then 3. They turned defense into offense with a speed that the veterans simply couldn't match. For Alex Eala, this match serves as a perfect launch pad for her 2026 campaign. She is using this doubles run as preparation for the Australian Open, the first Grand Slam of the year. But it is proving to be so much more than a warm-up. It is a confidence builder of the highest order. If you can save 8 set points against Venus Williams, you can handle the pressure of a Grand Slam qualifier. You can handle the heat of Melbourne. You can handle the weight of a nation on your shoulders. We must also give credit to Iva Jovic. At just 18, ranked 35th in the world, she is a phenomenon in her own right. The chemistry between the Filipina and the American was palpable. They lifted each other up. When one wavered, the other stood firm. It was a partnership built on mutual respect and a shared hunger to prove themselves. This victory resonates deeply in the Philippines. We often talk about Pinay pride, but what does it actually look like? It looks like Alex Eala standing tall in Auckland. It looks like a young woman who left her home in the Philippines to train in Spain, who sacrificed her childhood for hours on the practice court, who traveled the world alone, all from moments like this. It is a reminder to every young child swinging a racket in Manila, in Cebu, in Davao, that the gap between you and your heroes is bridgeable. Venus Williams was once a poster on a wall. Today, she was the opponent across the net. And tomorrow, she will be the legend that Alex Eala defeated. The global tennis community is taking notice. The headlines are not just about Venus losing. They are about Eala winning. They are talking about the fearless Filipina. They are talking about the next generation. The narrative is shifting from who is Alex Eala to watch out for Alex Eala. As we look ahead, Eala has a singles campaign to manage as well. She is set to face Donna Vekic, another incredibly tough opponent, an Olympic silver medalist from Paris 2024. But after this doubles performance, who would bet against her? The fear is replaced by courage. The doubt is replaced by momentum. This match was a microcosm of life. You face a giant. You fall behind. The odds stack against you. You are on the brink of defeat. 8 times over. But you dig deep. You find a reserve of strength you didn't know you had. And you don't just survive, you thrive. You turn the tide. You win. This is the story of Alex Eala at the 2026 ASB Classic. It is the story of a girl who dared to fight a giant, and in doing so, became a giant killer. The Australian Open looms on the horizon, and the flags of the Philippines are waving a little prouder, a little higher today. The stone that is Alex Eala has been cast, and the ripples are turning into waves. The Queen of the Court, Venus Williams, has passed the torch, perhaps unwillingly, but passed it nonetheless. And Alex Eala has grabbed it with both hands. For the doubters, the critics, and the skeptics, the scoreboard in Auckland says everything you need to know. Eala and Jovic defeat Williams and Svitolina. But for the believers, for the dreamers, and for the millions of Filipinos watching from home, it says something else entirely. It says we have arrived. Reporting on a historic day for Philippine sports, this has been a deep dive into the ASB Classic. Stay tuned as we continue to track Alex Eala's journey through the 2026 season. The best, I assure you, is yet to come.